The man at the window, Lena first noticed him in March. She lived on the second floor of a quiet old building, maple tree right outside her window, branches that scratched the glass when the wind got mean. It was still cold then. Breath fogged on glass, the city half dead from winter. Every night, Lena sat by that window with her tea, scrolling until her phone burned her eyes. That's when she noticed it, a reflection, one that didn't belong to her. At first, she thought it was the streetlight, just the way it bounced off the glass. But no, down below, by the tree, stood a man, still, watching. He didn't move, didn't fidget. She couldn't make out his face, just the pale oval of it. Motionless, staring up, he stayed there until she turned off her lamp. The next night, he was there again. By the third, Lena tried to laugh it off. Maybe a neighbor walking his dog. Maybe coincidence, but she stopped opening her curtains, just in case. Then the text started, an unknown number, you moved your plants. The window looks emptier now. Her stomach dropped, her Instagram was private. Her number wasn't public, she blocked it. The next night, another message, from a new number, you shouldn't sit so close to the window. That time, she called the police. They came, checked the alley, found footprints in the snow beneath her tree, said they'd patrol the area, but it was probably someone playing a prank. One officer stayed behind a few minutes longer. He was young, kind eyes, calm voice. He handed her his card. Call anytime, he said. 3 nights later, the text stopped. She slept again, almost convinced herself it was over, until her neighbor across the hall knocked one afternoon. He looked pale. Hey, he said, are you seeing anyone? Lena blinked. No, why? There's a guy downstairs. Said he's your boyfriend. Asked for your spare key. Her stomach turned to ice. They went down together. The lobby was empty, the door propped open with a rock. The neighbor swore he only turned away for a second. That night, Lena found her living room window unlocked, and on the sill, pressed into a thin layer of dust, was a single fingerprint. The police came again. Told her to change her locks. Stay with a friend. Maybe buy a camera. 2 weeks later, she moved. New building, new neighborhood, top floor, different phone number. For the first time in months, she felt safe enough to open her curtains again. She even bought new plants for the window. 3 days later, she woke up to a text, no name, just a photo. It was her, asleep, in her new apartment, taken from outside the window. She called the police again. They didn't believe the photo, said anyone could have taken it from the sidewalk, said maybe it was a prank, maybe someone found her new address. They said a lot of things, but none of them stayed long enough to hear the scraping under her window that night. The next morning, she bought blackout curtains. Then 4 security cameras, small, hidden, synced to her phone. For a week, nothing happened. Then, at 2:37 a.m., one camera caught movement. A man, standing in the alley, gray hood. He didn't approach, just stood there for exactly 6 minutes. Head tilted slightly, like he was listening. She sent the footage to the police. They said they'd look into it. 2 nights later, a soft knock woke her. Not on the door, on the glass. Her heart slammed in her chest. She stayed frozen, hardly breathing. Another knock, slow, deliberate, like someone trying not to scare her. When she finally looked, she saw only her reflection in the dark window. The next morning, she checked her cameras again. All 4 had gone offline at 2:31 a.m. The cables had been cut. She called the same officer, the kind one. He promised to come by, check everything himself. When he arrived, he didn't knock, he just walked in, using a key. Lena froze. He smiled. You changed the locks. How did you? He held up her spare key. The one she used to keep hidden in a ceramic pot by her old door. You shouldn't hide things where people can see, he said softly. You never know who's paying attention. Her throat tightened. Why are you? He stepped closer. Calm, almost tender. You looked scared the first night I came to your apartment. You needed someone to keep you safe. So I did. Pieces started fitting together in her mind. The prints, the open window. The texts that always came after she spoke to him. He'd known where she lived before she did. He tilted his head. That same motion from the footage. You left me no choice when you moved. She ran, he followed. When they found her hours later, hiding in a gas station restroom, trembling and barefoot, she kept whispering, "It was him. The cop. It was him." But when they checked the building footage, hallways, stairs, lobby, there was no one else, no man entering, no officer leaving, just Lena, unlocking her own door, and later that night, opening the window from the inside. They held her 48 hours, said it was acute stress, shock. The detective who interviewed her, a woman named Ruiz, was gentle. "Careful, Lena," she said, sliding a photo across the table. "This is the officer you described." The face in the picture was younger, lighter somehow. His name was Aaron Cole. "He died 5 years ago." Lena stared at the photo. "That's not possible." "He was at my door. He talked to me." Ruiz hesitated. "I believe you saw someone," she said. "But it wasn't him." They took her phone, her laptop, the camera drives. Said they'd analyze them. Lena went home. The apartment felt hollow, like a stage after a play. She taped the windows shut, slept with a knife under her pillow. 3 nights later, Detective Ruiz called. Her voice was shaking. "We found something in your footage." Then, through the phone speaker, Lena heard faint breathing, and a whisper, a man's voice, close, pleading, "Don't let them erase me." When Ruiz tried to replay the file, it was gone. The next morning, Lena woke up to another text, "You told her about me." It came from Ruiz's number. When she called the station, they said Ruiz was on leave, car accident, unresponsive. Lena didn't sleep after that. She sat by the window, curtains drawn. Lights off, knife in hand. Hours passed in silence. Then, sometime after 3, her phone buzzed again. It was a photo, her window, taken from outside, but this time, she could see the reflection, a man standing behind her, blurred, but unmistakable. She turned slowly. The room was empty. Another buzz. One last message, "You're finally looking the right way." The next morning, the upstairs neighbor called the landlord. Water was leaking through the ceiling. When they opened Lena's apartment, the windows were wide open. The tea on the table was still warm, and carved into the windowsill, deep and deliberate, were 3 words, "He watches back." 2 months later, Detective Ruiz woke from her coma. When they asked what she remembered, she said only one thing: she wasn't alone in that apartment. In the evidence locker sat Lena's cameras. Most of the footage was corrupted, static, flickering shadows, but one technician noticed something buried deep in the final clip. At first, just her reflection in the window. Then, a man's figure appeared behind her, the same face from the photo, the same smile, and just before the feed cut out, Lena turned to the camera and whispered something. They amplified the audio. It wasn't fear, it was relief. "You finally found me." The case was closed, the apartment empty, but every tenant since says the same thing, that sometimes, late at night, when the lights are low and the city's gone quiet, the window fogs from the inside, and if you wipe it clean, you'll see 2 sets of fingerprints.